I'm not going to vote because they'll just rig them. You get a landslide in there, you make them steal that, you bring down the whole enchilada. I'm going to go to Dr. Group now. There's the quote. Oh, I'm really getting fired up right now. To all those Bernie Sanders supporters left out in the cold by a rigged system of superdelegates, we welcome you with open arms, Donald Trump. That is a great comment. Now, let me tell you something. We're going to play that clip when Leanne's on, the other clips when Leanne's on. I don't want to cut into Group's time. We took time out to meet with us here today for like 30 minutes. We only have like 15 now. Dr. Group, you wanted to get into some medical news, but also wanted to get you on because you developed Living Defense for us. It took you over a year to do it. It's got the kitchen sink in it. I didn't realize that with all the nutraceutical buffs, that, with all the supplement buffs that would be seen as the holy grail of the healthy, clean, detox, anti-parasite cleanse, it sold out in 2 days, and it took us, it sold out in December. One run, here we are 6 months later, never had a product. I even tried to get you to take some of the stuff out of it so we would have it. We finally got some of it in, a pretty good shipment, and it's just amazing. So let's infomercial here, because this is important stuff. We got these big parasites. What about little parasites and other stuff? Why did this sell out? Because I never even really promoted it. It's got all these ingredients. Because we can see it's not even mainly our listeners coming in. It's outside folks buying this. Why is this so good?
Well, because people are actually waking up to the problem that pretty much scares me the most. I mean, I try to make sure that I don't put toxins from food and water and beverages in my system. But right now we're dealing with massive parasites, which is anything that's harmful to your body that lives off a host mechanism. Right now, with all the refugees spreading disease around, we have biological warfare going on everywhere. These are all parasites. We have Legionnaire's outbreaks happening. Cases nearly quadrupled in the last 15 years.
Massive TB from Texas to Minnesota, and they say, we don't even test them. We now put your kids they put the kids in the classes with our kids. Like an orgy of disease. Is this like some religion? Is this child sacrifice? What is this, Dr. Group?
I'm really thinking that it's all planned, because if you look at some of these conditions and then us opening up our borders and all the other countries opening up their borders, you're just dealing with a mass amount of parasites or harmful organisms or biological weapons that are spreading and mutating all across the world. And I think that's one of the reasons why. I mean, all you have to do is look at the news these days. You can type in refugees spreading disease. I mean, the CDC is going crazy right now. There's a new antibiotic-resistant E. coli that they just identified, and in Britain they're talking.
They've got this sandfly that puts the parasite, and it's killing hundreds of thousands. That eats the bacteria, and it eats your body, and it's just, oh, come into Europe, oh, kill us, oh.
Yeah, that's called visceral leishmaniasis, and that's another thing that's spreading. It's a flesh-eating disease. Some people.
Why are you discriminating against flesh-eating death?
Well, because I always try to find the answers to, there's always a solution.
What's wrong with polio exploding, even though the vaccine isn't helping? What's wrong with that? Why are you racist against polio?
Well, I tell you what, they're actually coming out. I mean, I think part of the reason is, I think a lot of these things are biological, that are man-made, and they're actually seeding the clouds, and they're seeding people with.
Sure, they're using the illegals as the cover that it's coming in. I agree.
Yeah, because
now suddenly Zika's weaponized, like you said months ago. Oh, suddenly it's mutated, more deadly. Oh, suddenly.
That's right. That's right. And as a matter of fact, President Obama just created a bill, I think, for $1.9 billion to fight Zika. And that's, I think, about to be in the Senate. And we know that there was a hoax, because it doesn't cause the birth defects and neurological diseases. But that is a scary situation, because there's vaccines in development right now that are supposed to be coming out within the next 6 to 8 months. So you have the Zika, you have the tuberculosis that's happening right now, you have the flesh-eating disease, you have polio, you have measles.
And by the way, just to interrupt you, came out a few months ago that the Rockefeller Foundation isolated Zika in '54 and was involved in weaponizing it, and then magically it pops up. And what a perfect place to vector Zika worldwide, carried by humans through sexual transmission or blood transmission. They now admit it magically mutated, but through the Olympics coming up in Brazil. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, and the thing is, people can avoid toxic air if they want. They can get an air purification system. They can avoid toxic water and drink clean water. But it's really hard to avoid parasites It's hard to avoid attacking organisms, and that's where I see this going. I mean, I think a lot of the information that we put out there and a lot of the products that we develop are specifically for that reason, to protect you against the endocrine disrupting chemicals, to protect you against all those chemicals and toxins. But here we are with billions of people being affected with different types of harmful organisms.
And I want to be clear, there's a reason the globalists never let all these third world diseases in, a lot of which they souped up and declassified that they aimed at the poor people. It's folks from Brazil or even the Middle East, these are victims, okay? And I really feel sorry for the folks from Latin America because they're not trying to put beekeeper suits on women and cut their genitals off. You know, that's my issue with the Muslims is, come on, man, no, my daughters will not be your slave. They're going to drive cars. They're going to do what they want. Shut up. Call me a racist or anti-feminine if you want. You will not put her in a freaking bee suit. Now, I'm sorry, but anyways, they are hitting, they've been caught, the UN's been caught, you know, Peru injecting people with syphilis. It wasn't just the black people, or injecting them with other garbage or polio. It's all come out. You can go to the registration of the Zika virus. It says Rockefeller Foundation, and the year that they did it, you cannot make any of this garbage up. And it makes me want to throw up that these people are now pouring in, and now the elites we know have gotten cures and treatments for themselves in case they get it, and that's why they're about to let the full West enjoy the population reduction and things that they've been under as well. You cannot make it up. And I said the 50s. It was 47. I was going from memory. Go ahead, Dr. Grube.
No, I should apply for that $1.5 billion reward that British is thinking about offering somebody that comes up with a cure for this new E. coli and the fact that none of the antibiotics are working anymore. I mean, really, if you just take a combination of silver, oregano, the X2 iodine, and the living defense, you pretty much are protecting yourself and boosting your immune system against any type of
I had 3 family members die in 1 month of this lung-eating garbage. The hospitals were all full. It was barely in the news that a mystery illness was killing everybody. The doctors said they'd never seen this much death. Again, there was a cover-up of it. And my dad had it for over a month. 2 different antibiotics didn't help him. He was in bed. And I literally forced him to drink close to 2 or 3 bottles of it in 1 week. And he said, that's bad for your kidneys, that level, which it is, folks. You don't want to take it in much smaller dosages, okay? You know, something like 30 parts per million silver bullet. But I dumped, I think it was 3 bottles down him, knocked it out. Knocked it out. Nothing else was working. So we're not saying it's a silver bullet, but it's darn close to it.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the thing is, they don't want to go back to natural medicine. The natural products that we've developed are specifically designed and have even been tested by the U.S. military to be very strong at protecting the body.
When my uncle was dying 2 years ago, all over the hospital, they had silver sprays and silver creams, and they were just going, yes, silver. Oh, I mean, they know now. They know.
I tell you what, you know, just like Daniela Grace was on your show talking about all the prison systems, you got to remember the prisoners are being tested on, the soldiers are being tested on all over the world, not just U.S. military, but all military.
Oh, I remember a couple of years before my uncle died, there right down the road at Huntsville State Prison, maximum security. A bunch of people died of a mystery ailment. It turned out there was secret testing at that place that was even in the Houston Chronicle. I wonder, man, imagine what we don't know, Dr. Grube.
I mean, I'm telling you, there's thousands and millions of organisms cruising around in our system that are taking our nutrients, reducing our immune system. And the thing is, doctors don't know. They don't teach doctors in medical school about parasites and harmful organisms. There's a reason why they don't teach them about that, just like they don't teach doctors about the root cause of disease and how to eliminate all disease out there. They don't want you to know about it. The parasites and harmful organism testing and the biological, I mean, most of these things can be tracked back to U.S. military or bioweapon laboratories that were specifically designed even before the Cold War to use for biological
Lyme's
weapons.
disease, they admit, from a Nazi scientist off the coast of New York, 1952.
Right. The thing is, if you're suffering from abdominal pain, allergies, I mean, usually most, even like headaches, anemia, weakened immune system, gut problems, depression, hair loss, excess gas, muscle pain, nervousness. I mean, all these things, weight gain, mental, brain fog.
Let's talk about what's in living defense, because nothing's a panacea, but the stuff Mother Nature gave us is, more and more folks admit, and this is what the elites are all into. Why is living defense so good? Tell us about all the stuff that said that there's so many things that are in it.
Right. So if you look across the board, what we wanted to do is try to attack as many different things and create
wild crafted black walnut, green hull, organic.
Yep. You have the neem in there. You have the organic clove bud, the organic wormwood. You have enzyme blend in there. And this is very important because a lot of these microorganisms, and even going up to tapeworms, pinworms, you have to disintegrate the lining. I mean, on viruses protect themselves, and so do bacteria and protozoa and mycoplasms. They have a protective shell that a lot of times the immune system can't even get into, our own immune system, especially since most people's immune system are weak anyway.
And they secrete things to make us weaker so we're a better host.
Yeah, exactly. So we, and our
Just
body
like
become acidic. So we actually designed the Living Defense and put in a specific blend of enzymes, which actually chew and eat through the lining of these different organisms. So the Living Defense is amazing. We've seen just tremendous reviews. As a matter of fact, a lady that was so sick for 10 or 15 years had called the other day, been to 15 or 16 different doctors, was on her deathbed. She started doing the Living Defense. She said it was a miracle product. Very wealthy lady, saw the best doctors, went to the best hospitals in the world. No one could determine what was wrong with her. This is going on with practically every single person that goes to a doctor with symptoms. I can pretty much guarantee they have some level of parasites inside their body.
Even the New York Times a few months ago said most cancer now linked to the gut because the autoimmune system finally gives up, and that's why people aren't able to absorb any of the vitamins and minerals. And as you said, it's all the bad bacteria, the parasites, the yeast, the fungus. It's all in there, and you're dying because your gut is dying. And even the New York Times had all these big studies with the U.S. government admitting it. So at one side, they're killing us, but then there are good people, compartmentalized, getting reports out agreeing with you.
Yeah, I want to bring it to the public attention because anything we can do to help people, anything we can do to educate people and to be aware, it's just at this point in time, it's going crazy. It's everywhere in the news with the super bugs that are out there. It's just a lot more than ever. I mean, you can actually trace back, and there's been studies done on fossilized feces from the Vikings that showed that the Vikings suffered from parasites. And even ancient Rome was infested with human parasites. They're doing analysis now on basically fossilized feces.
Public schools and private schools are constantly sending letters home. I talked to all these parents with all these weird gut parasites spread and all these third world parasites spreading now. And it's just totally insane. And how often should you take Living Defense? I mean, is it a regimen every day? That's what I was doing till we ran out. Or do you do it heavier for certain cleanses? What do you do, Dr. Group?
Well, I do usually 6 weeks at a time because if you look at the life cycle of most parasites, but it's 6 weeks from the time.
So you got to kill the ones that are in there and then kill their babies when the eggs hatch out.
Exactly. So it takes 6 weeks from the time they lay their eggs until they're an adult.
So like even if we politically defeat Hillary, they've laid so many eggs, there'll be other generations of horrible criminals.
We have parasites. You're right. I mean, we have parasites all over that attack us. But the thing is, you don't want your own immune system being attacked. And with all of again, you have animals, especially your cats, dogs. So many people have pets these days. People eat raw sushi. People eat more raw food. You have all these different organisms showing up in the water supplies now. You even have it in the air supplies, these tiny microorganisms. So it's not like we can get away from them. We just have to do everything. I recommend doing a parasite cleanse at least twice a year.
All right, well, I'm glad we've got some back in because I'm going back on it today. It just came back in yesterday. Living Defense, InfoWarsLife.com. And folks, you can't lose. It's full of stuff that's great for your body, period. And you support the broadcast, InfoWarsLife.com. Thank you, Dr. Group from the Global Healing Center. Thank you so much for all your work, sir, on this great product.
Thanks for having me on, Alex.
We'll be back with more on the election and more on Bilderberg. All right, let's get serious. Bill O'Reilly defends Hillary. Don't call her crooked. Crooked. Now, come on, he said. Crooked. I mean, she's been in more scandals and more evil than anybody I could ever imagine. I mean, she's like, herpes just keeps coming back over and over again. And then another article, Trump banned BuzzFeed reporter from speech, credentialed InfoWars. InfoWars is the nation's leading conspiracy theory website, which means we know what we're talking about. But, you know, I mean, I trust Larry Nichols, and I love him, but he was telling me last week, actually, on air, he was saying it, but then over the weekend and then Monday, I'm communicating directly to the Trump people, but I told them I don't want to meet with them because they'll make a big issue out of it, as you know.